Hey guys, welcome back to The Crime Sheet. I'm Andrea Cipriano, and in today's video, I'm so excited to announce that I've teamed up with CrimeCon to give away 2 standard passes to 1 lucky winner for the first ever CrowdSolve event. This one is going to be taking place in Seattle later in October, and this is the first time that any company has ever tried to bring true crime enthusiasts together with actual investigators to help work on a cold case. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the event itself and how to enter the giveaway at the end of this video, but first, I want to introduce you to one of the cold cases that we're going to be investigating. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with the Nancy Moyer case. It's been getting a lot of media attention recently because of the popular hide and seek podcast, and somebody has actually come forward and confessed. I talked about it in one of my previous videos. I'm gonna leave a link somewhere here in the video if you want to go check out a little bit more about that case itself. We are going to be investigating it with the Thurston County Sheriff's Office, but because it is now an active investigation, the creators of CrimeCon have added another case that we're going to be looking at, and that is the unsolved murder of Karen Bodine. To begin, I wanted to share with you guys that when you do a quick Google search of Karen's name, there's not a lot of information out there. In fact, the first few articles that come up are actually about the CrowdSolve event and less about her actual case itself. She was found murdered in 2007, and something that I thought was really interesting was one of the original articles from 2007 shows up on the first page of Google. And to me, that would explain that honestly, not a lot of articles have been written about her or her case since then, to the point where an older article is showing up on the first page in terms of relevance. It makes me kind of sad knowing that there hasn't been a lot of attention put on this case, and even that they probably don't have enough leads to where they're contacting the media to write new articles. And so for that reason, I'm really excited that CrowdSolve has chosen this case to put forward and have new, fresh eyes look at it. But with that being said, again, there's not a lot of information out there. Karen Bodine was 37 years old at the time of her murder. She has always been described as somebody who is non-traditional, and you can kind of see this in her style. It's very edgy. She had short, spiked, bleach blonde hair, and she had 3 kids. The police don't actually know where she was living at the time of her death. Friends can attest to the fact that she was living with them on and off over the few weeks. One thing is for certain was that she was not living with her parents in Olympia, Washington. So this brings up some questions about, where were her 3 kids at the time of her murder? Were they staying with their grandparents? Or maybe they were staying with their biological dad? I'm not sure. I don't know a lot of those details to her case. But it brings up a lot of questions about where Karen was in her life and what she was doing at the time of her death. On the weekend before Karen's body was found, a Lacey, Washington police officer was asked to perform a wellness check on her. There have been no further details about this encounter that have been released. One thing though that is important to note is some people believe that the last person to see her alive was one of those police officers, and so this brings up some further questions that still don't have answers online. Karen's body was found on January 22nd, 2007 along a highway in Rochester, Washington. And it was in an area where there's kind of like a deserted gravel pit, and it's also a space where people normally go duck hunting, deer hunting, and for some reason people also dump stolen cars there. And so for me, this makes me believe that if Karen's body was found there, this must have been somebody who was local. The killer must have been local, because how else would they know that that space was there to begin with? A few other things that are really interesting about where and how her body was found. To begin with, Karen didn't have any clothes on. The police officers did say that they found something around her neck that they do believe caused her to die. She was probably strangled. And the back of her head was resting on an abandoned car seat. And so the first thing that makes me think of, like, when I see that, or when I think of that, is like an image of like a pillow. So I wonder if maybe she wasn't necessarily dead at the time that this killer dumped her body there. I don't know if he was doing that in terms of comfort for her, or if it was a sign of remorse. I think I really won't fully understand until I see the actual crime scene and get a better idea of what the environment looked like. The police did describe seeing suspicious marks along her body, and they also found some unknown male DNA that was on the item that they found around her neck. Police also found 2 tire tracks that were leading up to where Karen's body was found. Back in 2007, a spokesperson for the police department did decline to say whether or not they believed that the killer was a stranger or somebody that Karen might have known. And then when reporters asked if Thurston County might have had a serial killer on their hands, the police department just kind of said that the idea is in the back of their minds. I think when people hear about Karen's case, they're not quite sure where to place it in their minds because Karen doesn't necessarily fit the archetype of the pure and innocent homicide victim that the media constantly creates. She had a little bit of an arrest record and there was some history of drug abuse there. So I think it's not far-fetched to say that she potentially wasn't hanging out with the best people, but at the same sense, you know, her family has been quoted in saying that they remember her being a fun, loving person who really just had the best intentions and had a lot of love for life. I'm really glad that CrowdSolve is taking a hard look at Karen's case because even though she might not have been perfect in life, her family and her friends still deserve to find some kind of closure and get some kind of justice for what happened to her. And that's exactly what we're aiming to do with CrowdSolve, of trying to find new leads and gather new ideas for investigators to look at. So, CrowdSolve is brought to us by the same people that brought us CrimeCon. As many of you guys know, CrimeCon is about bringing true crime enthusiasts together with educators and experts to talk about all things true crime. And CrowdSolve's intentions are a little bit different. For this, we're going to really be trying to crack some cold cases, get some new leads, and bring some new ideas to investigators that are working on them so that some of these can finally get solved. In Seattle, there's going to be hundreds of different people working together with the law enforcement on both Nancy and Karen's cases. We're going to be given the entire case files, so we're going to be on the same knowledge playing field as the detectives who have been working the cases for years. So no more scouring the internet for clues. They're going to be right in front of us. This is the first time anything like this has ever been attempted, and I'm so lucky I get to be a part of it, and I really hope that you can be a part of it as well. To enter the giveaway for 2 standard passes for CrowdSolve, all you have to do is post to Twitter and Instagram and tag your friend that you want to bring, tag me, and tag CrimeCon. I'm going to leave all of our handles for both platforms down below, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, but you have to post really soon. I'm going to be doing the random drawing on October 2nd, so please make sure that you post online before then. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in Seattle to solve some cold cases.